Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Between the Ropes. I'm your host. My name is Christy Wilson. And of course, this show I apologize. This ad intro completely sucked. Let me turn my thing around here. I'm sorry. Here we go. Now we got it going. Okay. Like I said, welcome to Between the Ropes, presented to you on. I do apologize again. This intro isn't going the way I want it to, but this is Between the Ropes. I'm Christy. I'm your host. This is on the ETB Podcast Network, presented to you by Playback and Novig Sportsbook. Yes. So today's show is going to be a pretty good one. And yep, Baja Blast. There we go. But today's show should be a pretty interesting one, I will be honest. So much has been going on, and it was kind of hard for me to find certain topics that I felt I could do. I did have to switch something out, but this is definitely going to be something. Now, we're going to get into recently, last week, actually, NXT had their No Mercy PLE. Yes, you can still watch NXT PLEs on Peacock. So a lot of things happened. A lot of things went according to plan, except for, I guess, maybe one thing. Excuse me, maybe just one thing here. And that was the NXT Championship match, the main event between the champion Obafemi and Absolute Ricky Saints. I had to do his little pose there. I apologize. But in what I feel was a surprise, and I don't think this was predicted at all, especially by those who were saying, oh, Oba's going to retain it, he's just going to destroy Ricky, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? The Revolution is now televised, and Ricky Saints is your new NXT champion. I was honestly surprised because I thought Obafemi was just unbeatable. Big, strong, powerful, athletic. Obafemi has all those intangibles, athletic intangibles, mind you. Ricky, of course, yes, he has the experience. He was an AEW, former FTW title. If you don't know what it is, look up Extreme Championship Wrestling and Taz. Taz created this title many years ago when he was in that promotion because his opponent kept chickening out of, well, in his opinion, chickened out of their world title match because he was sick. So Taz came up with this title that when he later went to AEW as a commentator, he dusted it off. And first, the Machine Brian Cage had it, but that was because it was just handed to him. Neither here nor there. But Ricky Starks did hold that title. He teamed up with the wrestler formerly known as Big Cass, now Big Bill in AEW. They were tag team champions for a little while. And now here he is in WWE and their developmental brand NXT. He's the NXT champion. I know some people out there are not happy that Ricky did this, but I feel like it makes sense because Obafemi, he's just ready for the main roster. And I know there are those out there predicting the next thing is going to happen with him, with Obafemi. He's going to go to the main roster. He's going to debut on SmackDown during Sami Zayn's U.S. Championship Open Challenge, and he's going to be one to dethrone Sami. Do I think that's fair? Not really. But Obafemi has clearly shown he is capable of holding gold and having good long title reigns and having good title defenses and really good matches. I think he deserves at least that opportunity. Yes, the United States title is kind of a lower mid-card title, but I think he can do something with it and build himself up on the main roster if it ever gets to that point where he goes there and he does everything that I've heard people say that he's going to do. I think that's really going to be a really good thing for him. But, just like everything else, you got to give him time to grow, to continue growing, continue developing, because I think the sky's the limit with Obafemi. As for Ricky, I hope his title reign goes well in NXT. I do think he is main roster ready, but clearly he probably felt NXT was a good place for him to start. He's been North American champion. Now he's the NXT champion. I wish Ricky the absolute best. Ricky. And I did his pose again for the third time. It's cool, though. I like it. Now, I'm going to tie something into what I'm talking about with No Mercy, because the episode of NXT after No Mercy, actually, I didn't find very impressive, because if any of us have been out there who've been keeping up with this, TNA and WWE have a partnership going on, and right now, storyline-wise, we're supposed to be getting an invasion. That was kind of what the impression I think a lot of us were getting based on what was on the show and everything like that. Well, this past Tuesday on NXT, I unflippin' believable. I'm sorry. This was I'm Shawn Michaels. You are asking to put in the roast a wrestler segment. I have never roasted a legend before, not even a Hall of Famer like you. You and someone else are currently on my shit list right now. Whether you make it to roast a wrestler, I don't know, but you'll find eventually you and the whole world will probably find out as soon as I say who it is. But this booking of this whole thing, I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. They changed it from invasion to showdown. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. If you're going to do an invasion, you got to do it right. I don't know if, say, and I hate to bring anything political into this. I don't know if WWE or got politically correct and said, "Oh no, we can't call it invasion. No, we got to call it showdown." Like, did TKO and Nick Khan have to stick their noses in where it didn't belong? This is, as far as I'm concerned, I have never heard of TKO even being the slightest bit interested in anything that goes on in NXT at all. I've not heard that. But if anyone out there has, go into the chat and let me know if you have heard anything. Because I don't know what is going on with NXT, but I'm really just totally surprised by the quality of some of the shows have not always been great. There's clearly the TNA WWE thing is kind of getting very muddled. You have Kalani Jordan as the Knockouts champion. We know why. I don't need to get into that. We have Trick Williams as the TNA World Champion. He still needs to drop that belt, and he probably will, to Mike Santana at Bound for Glory in suburban Boston, Massachusetts on October 12th. I mean, this whole thing has even got me confused to the point I literally want to turn the TV off. Like, I just don't want to deal with it anymore as a wrestling fan. It's just getting too much. But all that NXT stuff, it's just nuts. It's just nuts. Now, something else ended up happening, and this happened Wednesday, which was very surprising to me because this has been something AEW fans have been calling for a long ass time, and it looks like they're finally going to get their wish. On November 12th in Greensboro, North Carolina, AEW is going to hold their special Blood and Guts episode. It's Blood and Guts is there. If you know what War Games is, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of more. It's a thing Dusty Rhodes came up with. Except it was called War Games, not Blood and Guts. AEW trying not to get in trouble with trademarking, so I get that. Fans have been asking practically since the first Blood and Guts match. I think it was like, might have been 2020, 2021. I don't remember the exact year they really started to do this, but excuse me. People have wanted the women in AEW's women's division to have that kind of opportunity to have a Blood and Guts match. We have seen how do some of these women not afraid to take on extreme matches. Most legendary one in AEW, of course, Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Everyone remembers the iconic Britt with her face covered in blood. Brutal, brutal, brutal. And people have been calling for this sort of match to happen for the women for a long time. Look, not all of them have experience in these type of hardcore type matches where you're dealing with tacks, busted glass, barbed wire. They can handle tables, ladders, chairs, kendo sticks, fire extinguisher. You get that. The more extreme stuff I don't think some people want to watch that, but I know there are those out there who are interested enough that this is what they want, and you're finally going to get it because it was announced by none other than former AEW Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter that this was what she wanted, and indicated because she and Queen Aminata are now in this little, I guess you'd call it a feud with the Triangle of Madness, Julia Hart, Sky Blue, and Tekla. I don't think Tekla, Julia, and Sky are going to have issues finding two other people to join them. It's just, who are those two other people and can they work together? I know the first three ladies I mentioned can work together. They are a faction, so they can definitely work together. who are Miss Hater and Queen Amanada going to choose as the three other people if this is indeed going to be a 5-on-5 match? You know, who are they going to pick? Good number of possibilities out there, but I think it all has to fit into the storyline and how it's going to be told in this match with Steel Cage. 2 rings, a lot of toys, lots of toys. I mean, I've watched enough. I know there's like a shit ton of toys. Like these ladies could go hog wild all they want. Get your kendo sticks, your tables, your ladders, your chairs, your busted glass, your barbed wire, kendo sticks, belts. What else can I think of here? Handcuffs. I'm not getting kinky. I'm just spitting out ideas. A lot of things. Fire extinguishers. Um, I mean, heck, if there's a fan with a prosthetic limb that would love to have the honor of it being used in that match, hey, go right ahead. Go right ahead. But yeah, these ladies, I think now is the right time for these ladies to have a blood and guts match. We know there's going to be one with the guys, and I'm sure it's going to involve the Death Riders. I'm not going to get into those people. I mean, not yet anyway. But that's just crazy to even think about it. But it's I think if the ladies can pull this off, it's going to be. I think this could be a match wrestling fans could talk about for a long time. Possibly, we'll see how everything shapes up, and we'll see how the buildup is as the weeks leading towards November 12th happens. We get a little over a month, so I think Tony Khan, that's plenty of time for you, sir, to really hype this up, build it up, and put it all together and nice and beautiful and messy and bloody, and you know what I mean. All right. More AEW news, and this one caught my eye earlier this week, which I was very surprised of. It's related to a little fun fact about myself. I'm not the biggest comic book reader in the world, but I do enjoy comic books. I'm not a huge collector, but when I saw this, I was instantly intrigued. I was very intrigued by this. DC Comics and AEW are collaborating on a two it's a 2-book set. I have to click on the website here. But it's a DC and AEW kind of coming together in a nice little crossover series, which unites both these powerhouses, as the statement I'm reading says, 2 powerhouse universes in a bold new storytelling experience. This unprecedented collaboration will bring the Justice League and AEW's top wrestling talent together in a high-octane 2-issue comic book event, launching with a special preview edition that will be available exclusively to fans at New York Comic Con. Hey, Nick Morganson, if you are a comic book fanatic, you need to check this out. New York Comic Con. That, of course, will be coming. Let's see what it says here. I think it's like October 10th and 11th will be what's going on with that one. And just looking at the illustration is so freaking cool. You're seeing Hangman Adam Page, Mercedes Moné, Timeless Toni Storm, I'll get to her later, Orange Cassidy, Will Ospreay, Willow Nightingale, Kenny Omega. I get Darby Allin with people like Green Lantern. The illustration shows 2 gentlemen who are Green Lanterns. I think one is Hal Jordan. You have with like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Hawkman. Jesus. I was looking at this. I'm just absolutely surprised by all of it. It just looks. Oh, and Nightwing. Nightwing's in there. This is just really as a superhero. I love superheroes and all of that. It is so freaking awesome to see these 2 things. I know DC, they have Warner Brothers, they're associated with Warner Brothers, all that. I get that. But this is so amazing. If any of you wrestling fans who also happen to be comic book fans, you want to check something out, this is great. And eventually you get the chance to actually buy this 2 comic book series. You can get it at comic book stores and also shopaew.com, which is probably where I'm going to buy this myself because I'm excited about it. And it's pretty amazing to kind of see this sort of thing happening. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So there's everything going on with that. So let me give a shout out to Playback. Playback. you never watch sports the same way again, start an account. It is 100% free. And you can check out all the different communities that are here that are all doing their thing, including ETB. You can check me out on this show. You can check out Callan and Jen on Puck Talk. You can check out Callan with Nick Morganson on Press Row. You can check out MMA Outsiders, Football Forecast, Gridiron Gurus, Heading for the Cycle, Forever Power 5. All the great shows through this network, and there's lots of cool stuff through the Playback app. Check it out. It is free. And also Novik Sportsbook, if you are into the gambling thing, that's really something that you really enjoy. But I'm probably going to completely F this up. So, but check out Novik Sportsbook. Check the odds. You don't have to play against the house. Use the code ETP Network and get some stuff that can help you in your sports betting experience. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And they'll get you help and all that. Now, I'm looking at AEW Collision. That's going to be actually starting tonight at an early start time. So it'll be 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. It'll be 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time where I am. You're going to be seeing all kinds of things. It's pretty crazy. But the thing is, the main crazy thing is it's going to be coast to coast. So it's going to be live from east to west, north to south. And one of the matches on the card, Jamie Hayter versus Anna Jay. Of course, last week we had Ty Mello versus Timeless Tony Storm, someone I will get to later on in the show. But now Ty Mello's tag team partner, Anna Jay, is going to go up against Jamie Hayter, former AEW Women's World Champion. Anna, good luck. Good luck. Because I know how powerful Miss Hayter is, and oh boy. Excuse me, ma'am, you better be ready. Be ready. There's a lot of other stuff going on, like, Seth Rollins interfering in a match on Friday on SmackDown, but because it was Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. If you were kind of old school and you're going back into like the late 2000s, like 2006, I think it's 2006, 7, 8, or 9, I think it is. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton were part of a faction called Legacy because they are next generation wrestlers. So, and they're the only people I guess could understand what the other is going through. So they teamed up, especially last night on SmackDown. They teamed up for a tag team match against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed of the Vision. Seth Rollins sticks his nose in where it doesn't belong because guess what? Mr. Rhodes is living rent-free in Mr. Rollins' head. And it's a cool thing. Paul Heyman, a.k.a. the Penguin, or as he's known in the Vision as the Oracle. He's no Oracle as far as I'm concerned. Tells Seth, don't do it. Don't do it. Cody's screwing with you. But Rollins didn't listen and got hit with Cody's finisher, the Crossroads. I know we got one more episode of Raw and one more episode of SmackDown left to go before people start predicting what's going to happen at Crown Jewel in Perth, Australia, which, by the way, is going to be on way too early in the morning. So guess what? Not watching. I value my sleep. So we'll see if people start predicting the outcome of that match, probably by that point. Other than that, I'm going to get to one major thing I've been itching to do for a while. I did have Roast a Wrestler set up for someone else. It was going to be Ronda Rousey, who's been talking trash. She will get her moment. I will obliterate that bitch at some point. This week didn't feel like the week to do it because something happened on Dynamite on Wednesday, 6th anniversary show. That's pretty epic as far as I'm concerned. Something happened and it's really got me friggin' PO'd. The more I thought about it, the more I realized, you know what? Ronda Rousey will get hers when the time is right. I'm going to do a switch out. And this is the first time ever in this program's extremely short history. And I've only been doing this since August. This show in particular, since August 24th. I've never switched out Roast a Wrestler before, but now I have. There's always a first for everything. Okay. I have been a fan of the subject of this week's Roast a Wrestler, someone I've been a fan of since 2017. when she appeared in the first Mae Young Invitational Wrestling Tournament for WWE. She went on, finished runner-up in that tournament. Comes back the following year, wins the whole goddamn thing. She becomes part of WWE and is one of the stars of their NXT UK brand over in the UK. She becomes the second NXT UK Women's Champion, beating Rhea Ripley at their first takeover event in Blackpool, England. Who am I talking about? You're wondering. I did give some indications in the little origin story I just told. Timeless Toni Storm. And the woman I described was her before she became timeless. I get Toni Storm, she had that early success and everything. Goes to NXT, didn't have a lot of success there. Main roster got basically treated like a damn afterthought. Put in a feud with Charlotte, buried by Vince McMahon because he just didn't get it. It's like, huh? Clearly, great star potential and everything. Gets released, goes to AEW, and becomes the first ever 4-time Women's World Champion. And along the way, changes her gimmick from the Motley Crue fangirl rocker chick type gimmick she'd had for an incredibly long time. Excuse me, to this like old school 1920s, 1930s glamorous movie star type gimmick. Very overly dramatic, like, I'm ready for my close up. Kind of like that. If you've watched like a lot of movies from like the golden age of Hollywood, that sort of thing. Pardon me. Toni Storm is an unbelievable success. She was a part of one of the best feuds in AEW history. Her and Mariah May, now Blake Monroe in WWE. One of the best feuds that I think I've personally ever seen. I would say if I had to rank women's feuds, it's up there along with like Trish versus Lita. That's one rivalry that I don't think any woman will top. They can try, but that was special. This one, Toni Storm versus Mariah May, was just as special. But guess what? Mariah's gone. She's now Blake Monroe in WWE. Timeless Toni Storm is still, now 4-time champion. Recently at All Out in Toronto, lost her championship to probably one of the most, you could call her a very unlikely person to do this, Kris Statlander. Beat Toni Storm in a 4-way title match to finally win the belt. And in result of it, Statlander made history. First woman to win the TBS title and the AEW Women's World Belt. And ironically, Statlander is a history maker. She ended the 509-day reign of Jade Cargill with the TBS title belt. And now she just ended the 4th title reign of Toni Storm, the AEW World title. Where am I getting at, you're wondering? How did Toni Storm piss me off? I'll tell you. This past Wednesday on Dynamite, after Kris Statlander and Darby Allin won the mixed tag team match against Marina Shafir, and I think it's Wheeler Yuta was in there. I completely forgot about it because I was distracted by the sight of Marina Shafir with tacks in her feet. Neither here nor there. Toni Storm comes out and is staring at Statlander with that belt, and it's clear this is a very typical wrestling storyline where once someone loses a belt, they lose their identity. And Toni Storm even cut a promo on that. She even cut a promo on it. What's pissing me off is I feel like by this match, Toni Storm versus Kris Statlander at Wrestle Dream, this is Toni Storm wanting something she doesn't need anymore. Toni, you've been a 4-time AEW Women's World Champion. You've had success in other promotions, including Stardom in Japan. Toni, you don't need the fucking belt. You don't need this title. Why are you challenging Statlander at Wrestle Dream? What did you do? Go to Tony Khan and say, oh, she made history. That's cute. Now give me my fucking belt back. You don't need it. You've already achieved a lot in this company. Sure, there's the AEW Women's Tag Team belts. I can't see you going after that. I can't see you teaming up with anybody in that women's roster to challenge to be a part of this tournament for those new championships were just unveiled at least a week or two ago. Toni, stop. For the absolute fucking love of God, stop. You don't need a world title belt. You don't need another title reign. You don't need a fifth title reign. I'm sorry. I would rather, if I was booking this, let Statlander continue to be champion for as long as possible and give someone else an opportunity. Because if Toni Storm steps in, I'm sorry, this is starting to look like complete and total utter selfishness. You're denying other women on that roster an opportunity to win. Yes, thank you, Toni Storm, for saving us from Mercedes Moné winning that belt because that would have been completely unbearable. But now you're starting to develop that same selfish, unbearable aspect to your character. I don't like it. I know there's a lot of other people out there probably don't like it either. I'm not sure, but I know, speaking only for myself, I've had enough. I hope at Wrestle Dream, Statlander retains and continues defending that title honorably and against a variety of people. I mean, she can have. I know Marina Shafir may possibly want a chance at that title. I don't see her winning it, but that would be interesting. But I want Statlander out of the orbit of the Death Riders as well as out of your orbit, Toni. You do not need to be a part of anything. Go feud with someone else. I mean, Toni, why don't you go feud with Athena? That would be more of a challenge. Make it interesting. You can confuse her and her protege, Billy Stark, with your promos, all that other crap. Just get the friggin' hell away from that AEW Women's World title. You don't need it. And I'm sure there are people out there who don't want you to have it because it's like, hey, give someone else a chance. Let them have a turn. And if you go after it again, and if you win this at Wrestle Dream in St. Louis, I am never going to look at you the same way ever again. Never. In fact, I'm already starting not to look at you the same way ever again. I'm going to see you as a very selfish, very greedy individual, just like someone like the person I said you should be feuding with. You should feud with Athena. I mean, heck, she's got the Ring of Honor Women's title in an effing death grip. Mercedes Moné has multiple promotions and has multiple other promotional matches, again, in other companies. I don't want to have to roast Mercedes Moné a second time. I don't have the energy for it. I don't have the patience for it. But Toni Storm, you bitch. No. No. Stay away from that belt. Get out of the women's world title picture. Get out of it. Enough. Enough of it. Go be timeless elsewhere. Like I said before, go feud with someone else. Go feud with Athena. Run it back with Mercedes if you want, if it's possible. Or shit, get yourself a tag team partner. Go for the AEW Women's Tag Team titles. Just stay away from the AEW Women's World Championship, okay? All right. There's other stuff going on in the world of professional wrestling. Oh, Lord. I know I mentioned there's another, of course, big match of the Crown Perth Australia PLE. Like I said, I'm not waking up early in the morning. Like I said, I value my sleep. I need it like really bad. I enjoy it a lot when I'm not doing stuff like this, of course. But there's one match on this Crown Jewel Perth Australia, this Crown Jewel Perth card that I really cannot predict no matter what. Stephanie Vaquer, the women's world title, versus Tiffany Stratton, the WWE Women's Champion. The contract signing went smoothly. In fact, I think it went perfectly. You know, no beating up someone or anything like that. I think it went incredibly, incredibly well. And I give both women credit for doing a really brilliant job at making sure everything went exactly how it was supposed to go. And I feel like there is respect between the both of them. But like Stephanie said, she'll show Tiffany who she is at Crown Jewel in the land down under. So this is hard for me to predict. I mean, you see me, if you check this show's Instagram page, I've worn a couple of Stephanie Vaquer shirts. You know, I'm a fan of hers. I mean, is it still going to be Tiffy time, or is La Primera going to show Miss Stratton who she's really all about? So that's going to be that's one thing. That is definitely the match that I am really going to keep my eye on, even if I have to scroll through my phone to find out the results because I don't tend to wake up early in the morning to watch it. I don't know. But we'll see what happens on that. Alrighty. This was actually not a bad show. The intro kind of sucked. I promise I will do better. So I just want to thank everyone for watching, and I will see you folks next week with hopefully some better stuff. New roaster wrestler. It's going to be good. So I will see you folks next week with Between the Ropes here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network, presented to you by Playback and Novik Sportsbook. I'll see you folks next week. Bye.